There is someone in your life right now, a friend, a partner, a coworker, maybe even a family member, who is not who they appear to be. They haven't raised their voice. They haven't threatened you. They haven't done anything you could point to and say, that right there, that was wrong. And yet, somehow, you feel smaller around them. You feel confused after conversations. You find yourself apologizing for things that weren't your fault. That feeling? It has a name. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. Because manipulation rarely announces itself. It hides. It disguises itself as love, concern, humor, even helpfulness. Stay with me. This one might change how you see everything. Welcome to Mind Mechanics, where we break down the hidden psychology behind why people think, feel, and behave the way they do. Today, we're talking about manipulation, not the obvious kind, not the movie villain kind, the quiet, everyday kind that happens in normal relationships and leaves you wondering if you're the problem. Here are 7 signs someone is secretly manipulating you. Sign number 1, they make you question your own memory. You remember the conversation clearly. You remember what they said, how they said it, the look on their face, and then they tell you, that never happened. I never said that. You're imagining things. This is called gaslighting, and it is one of the most disorienting forms of manipulation that exists. Here's why it works so well. When someone we trust tells us our memory is wrong, over and over again, we start to believe them. We start to doubt ourselves. And once your confidence in your own perception is gone, the manipulator becomes the only reliable source of truth in your life. That is not an accident. That is the goal. If you constantly feel confused after arguments, if you find yourself thinking, maybe I did get it wrong, far too often, pay attention to that pattern. Your memory is not the problem. Sign number 2, you always end up apologizing, even when you did nothing wrong. Think about the last few arguments you had with this person. Who apologized first? Who walked away feeling guilty? Manipulators are experts at flipping situations. You bring up something that hurt you, and somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're the one saying sorry. They do this through a few techniques. They bring up your past mistakes, things completely unrelated to the current issue. They act deeply wounded by the fact that you brought something up at all. They go silent. They withdraw. They punish you emotionally until the discomfort becomes so unbearable that you apologize just to make it stop. Psychologists call this DARVO: deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. The manipulator denies what they did. They attack you for bringing it up. And then they position themselves as the real victim. If this pattern sounds familiar, that sick feeling in your stomach right now is trying to tell you something. Sign number 3, they use your vulnerabilities against you. There was a moment, maybe early in the relationship, when you trusted them enough to open up. You told them about your fear of abandonment, your insecurity about your body, your complicated relationship with your parents, your biggest regrets. And at the time, it felt like intimacy. It felt like connection. But a manipulator files that information away. And later, subtly, sometimes so subtly you almost miss it, they use it. They make a joke that hits exactly where you're most insecure. They threaten to leave when they know abandonment is your deepest fear. They frame your past failures as evidence that you can't trust yourself. Real intimacy is built on safety. If the things you shared in your most vulnerable moments are being used as weapons, that is not love. That is leverage. Sign number 4, they control through guilt and obligation. After everything I've done for you, I just thought you cared about me. Fine, do what you want. I'll be okay. I always am. Sound familiar? Manipulators rarely ask for what they want directly, because a direct request can be directly refused. Instead, they create emotional debt. They do favors, sometimes grand, generous, overwhelming favors, and then they collect, not with an invoice, with guilt, with sighs, with disappointment. with the unspoken message that you owe them, and that saying no makes you a bad person. This is sometimes called coercive obligation, and it is incredibly effective because most of us genuinely don't want to hurt people we care about. The manipulator knows this, and they exploit it every single time. Here's the test. Do you do things for this person out of genuine love and desire, or out of fear of what happens if you don't? That answer tells you everything. Sign number 5. You've slowly become isolated from everyone else. This one is sneaky because it rarely happens all at once. It starts small. They make one comment about your best friend. I don't trust her. I think she's a bad influence on you. They seem uncomfortable when you spend time with your family. They need you urgently, emotionally, right when you had plans with someone else. Over months, sometimes years, your world quietly shrinks. And here's why this matters so much. Isolation is not a side effect of manipulation. It is a strategy. Because a person with a strong support network, people who know them, love them, and will tell them the truth, is much harder to control. But a person who is alone, who has no one to reality check with, who has been slowly convinced that the manipulator is the only one who truly understands them, that person is completely dependent. And dependence is exactly what a manipulator wants. If you look up and realize the people who used to be in your life have quietly disappeared, ask yourself honestly, who made that happen? Sign number 6. They run hot and cold, and you never know which version you'll get. One day they are warm, affectionate, funny, the person you fell in love with, the friend you adore. The next day they are cold, distant, irritable, and you have no idea what you did. So you spend all your energy trying to figure it out, replaying conversations, changing your behavior, walking on eggshells, trying to get back to the good version. This is not a personality quirk. In psychology, this pattern is sometimes called intermittent reinforcement, and it is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. When rewards, love, warmth, approval, are unpredictable and inconsistent, we become obsessed with earning them. The manipulator doesn't have to threaten you. They don't have to be cruel all the time. They just have to be unpredictable enough that you're always slightly anxious, always slightly trying to earn their good mood. That anxiety keeps you focused on them. It keeps you compliant. It keeps you from ever feeling settled or secure enough to think clearly about what's actually happening. Sign number 7. You no longer recognize yourself. This is the one that hits hardest. You look back at who you were before this relationship, before this friendship, this job, this dynamic, and you see someone different, someone more confident, someone who laughed more easily, someone with opinions and boundaries and plans of their own, and you're not sure when exactly that person started disappearing. Manipulation at its deepest level doesn't just change your behavior, it changes your identity. You start believing the things they've said about you. You start seeing yourself through their eyes. You shrink your ambitions to fit their comfort. You silence your instincts because you've been trained not to trust them. If you feel like a quieter, smaller, more uncertain version of yourself, that didn't happen by accident. The good news, and there is good news, is that identity can be rebuilt. The version of you that existed before, they're not gone. They're waiting. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Mind Mechanics, because understanding people, starting with yourself, is the most powerful thing you can do. I'll see you in the next one.